Hello, friends. How are you? Hope you are all doing good. And today's is our topic is about how to get flow, how self-discipline help us. Means if what to do when we don't felt like to do work, and what is good for our brain, and what is brain doing, how our brain respond to the situation when we don't want to work, and what happen if we work even when we don't want to work. Is it beneficial for us or is it worst for us? So let's get deeper into it. So I asked the questions from the question to the chat gpt, and chat gpt given a very good answer of it. And let's get into the chat gpt and see what's the chat gpt given the answer, and we discuss over it. Let me share the screen. Yes, this is a chat gpt. Yeah. So chat gpt given me a this answer. First phase it first phase is the initial resistance. Means whenever we don't want to work and still we do the work, what will happen? Initially our brain will trying to resist us. When we don't feel like working, our brain might experience a sense of resistance. It gives a sense of resistance to us. This resistance can stem from the factors such as fatigue, stress, and lack of interest. We feel the lack of interest, we feel fatigue, we feel boredom, we feel fear of failure, which activate the brain's region associated with the negative emotions and avoidance of behavior. We get to the avoidance behavior. That's what ChatGPT is telling to us. In a first step, when we try to do the things which is not likable, like study is sometimes not likable to us. So how? First of all, brain try to avoid it, because what is the nature of brain? Nature of brain is basically to conserve the energy. Why we don't like certain things? Because it puts in a situation that it consumes some sort of energy, and our brain don't wants to consume the energy. Our brain is naturally very lazy, so it try to avoid as much as possible, and that's the reason why maximum people can't study more, because they not even started, and their brain just avoids. Their emotions just start to fluctuate. The resistance just come over their emotions, and that's all happening with their brain. So this resistance can result into the fatigue, lack of interest, boredom, but it is just an initial timing. In just the initial situation, that's the whole thing happened. Now, after the initial achievement, when we handle the initial resistance, what will likely to happen afterwards? Let's see. So the activation of task relevant brain regions. Once brain got the idea, oh, I have to do the particular work anyways, the brain starts to adapt according to the situation. Brain try to activate the task relevant brain regions. And what happened due to that particular reason? That particular reason becomes more powerful. Whatever activity we do, it's like a it's like a muscle. As much we stretch it, as much we give the particular amount of pain to it, it grows. It grows like a muscle. We can practice this the muscles, and as much as we practice these muscles, we gets better. We gets better, and we consume less energy. Like the 5 kilo dumbbell is big for the person who is not done any sort of gym, but 5 kilo dumbbell is nothing for the person who done gym regularly. So that's the thing actually happens with the brain. So in this way we can train the brain, because when we face the initial resistance, and when we come out of it, then the activation of task relevant brain regions starts to happening. So what happens in this particular thing? So once you initiate the task, brain regions begins to activate regions relevant to that particular task. For example, if you're working on a problem solving task, like if you working on a DSA, if you working on a particular math problem, if you're working on speech building, if you're working on the learning programming, if you're working on studying any subject, like I am pharma student, so if I study the pharmacy or anything else, if this is all happening, then problem solving task and prefrontal cortex responsible for executive function like decision making, problem solving. Like if we do the problem solving, then problem solving part just start to function well. Additionally, areas involved in attention control, memory retrieval, and motor planning may also show increased activity as your brain prepare to engage in the task. What it means to is what is the implication of it? So our brain retrieval systems, our attention control systems, our memory retrieval systems, our motor planning systems, our execution systems. When we do the work, what will actually happen to our brain is our brain adapts for the execution. It try to execute the things as much as possible. That's actually happening. Like, but we have to pressurize to feel pressurized to just escape the initial resistance. Why maximum people do great work in job, but they are not able to do in a self study? Why? Because in self study there is no accountability, and if there is no accountability, we don't cross the initial resistance because we are lazy, and that's the reason why we have to be accountable to someone. At least if we be accountable, then the activation of task relevant brain regions will be activated, and that's the reason why we can do more things done in job than the our house, because when we are in our house we are in our comfort, and growth doesn't happen in the comfort. That's what ChatGPT tells to us. Because if we want to improve our control, attention control, if we want to improve our memory retrieval systems, if we want to engage with the motor systems, if we want to activate any type of those systems, then what we need is basically to activate the task relevant brain regions, and where we can able to activate those task relevant brain region is only when we crosses the initial resistance. So for doing the hard work, we need to cross the initial resistance, and if we can able to maintain through it, we can do great. Hard engagement and focus. When the activation of task relevant brain regions gets activated, what happened to our brain? It got the states of absorption. It got into the engagement of the focus. So what is actually happened? Despite the initial resistance, as you immerse yourself in the task, your brain entered the state of engagement and characterize the focused attention. What it means by it? So our focused attention towards the activity will increase. Our state becomes more balanced. Our self, we can get more idea. Our self gets more involved into the work. And this is the basic mechanism to get into the flow for any work. So start with the smaller work so we can cross the initial resistance, and then brain takes over the state of engagement state of engagement, and it starts to engage it in our activity. And when the engagement of the work is started, so our prefrontal cortex, anterior cingulate cortex becomes more engaged, and helping us to maintain a concentration and ignore the distractions. So distraction starts to eliminate, distraction starts to disappear, distraction starts to remove from our brain, and our brain just becomes more and more focused. And that's what actually happen when we do work, when we don't like to do work. So the most difficult phase of the work is first phase, which is initial resistance, and that's the reason why we tell the people that we have to start small. Start small in terms of work. We can start with the simple problems, and our brain escape the resistance part, and then it gets more and more involved, and we can get the flow state. So the state four, that is what is actually happened: release of neurotransmitter, release of neurotransmitter. As we got engaged into our work, as we got more immersed into in our work, what is actually happening? Our brain knows that it may be good activity. So let's start so giving some good hormones to it. So it just throws the dopamine, it just throws the serotonin, it just throws the endorphins. So endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, this all are the great hormones. It's like our growth factors just increases, our growth hormones just increases, our dopamine increases, our neurotransmitter increases, brain derived neurotropic factors are increased. Our entire system start to adapt for the situation, and this is what actually happened. Release of better neurotransmitter gets happened. So engaging in a task trigger the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and norepinephrine, which plays a key roles in motivation, arousal, and reward processing. So our reward processing systems becomes more powerful, and it can give the reward for the hard activity also. In this age of social media, getting the reward of the hard activity is difficult because of the first initial stage. Due to the social media, we felt more resistance for doing the hard work, and that's the reason why we're not able to get this state, and that's the reason why we suffer from the mental health issues. But that all can be solved with this simple way of using the this technique. Start little small and continuously get incremental level of challenges, so our brain can get the state of flow when it gains the lot of rewards for the activity. It doesn't loses the interest, it can improve themselves. That's what actually happened to their our mind. Release of neurotransmitter and then flow state. Persisting with the task can lead to the state of flow. When we persist for a long, when we persist for the long, we experience the zone, we experience the flow, we experience the flow of work, we experience the deep sense of engagement, we experience a lack of distractions. And this is all happens in the flow state. We experience a timelessness. When the times go, the 5 hours seems like a 5 second. You just lose your awareness towards time, and all this just going to be settled. And flow state is very important for our existence. Flow state is very important for our mental health, and if our mind is in a constant state of absorption, it can gain the flow state very easily. So in this way we can gain the flow state. So persisting with the task can lead to state of flow, characterized by intense concentration, highlighted productivity, and sense of timelessness. These are three things: the sense of timelessness, intense concentration. This is all the great stuff happens to us. During the flow, the brain experiences a shift of in neural activity towards a region involved in a task at a hand, reducing the activity of area associated with the self-awareness and external distraction. We can we have the noise cancellation in our brain. We has the noise calculation formula in our brain. We can be too engaged into the work that we just lose the sense of our environment. We lose the sense of our existence for some times, and then we are just getting into the zone. We are just immersed into the process. So that's where the best work done, best phases is the flow state. केवल लय केवल लय अवस्था Patanjali in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the Kevalya Avastha is said to be the flow state. And if you want to understand the flow state in a better way, then I have one book. Yes, this is a book. This is a book. It's about flow. Yes, this is a book. It's about flow. The flow, the classic work on the achieve happiness. So these are the great books. This is the books about flow. So uh, let's put here, and then when we got the flow, our work gets done very easily. And when we done our work, when we actually able to do our work in a better manner, what actually happened is we got the sense of accomplishment. Yes. So completing task even when initially unmotivated can trigger a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. This positive reinforcement strengthens the neural pathway associated with perseverance and self discipline, making it easier to overcome future feeling of reluctantness and engage in a productive behavior. So, what actually happened when we felt the sense of accomplishment? When the next time the same problem come, this first phase, which is initial negligence, initial resistance, the size of that particular phase reduced, and we can able to get flow state very easily. So in this week we can continuously get the new flow state, and we can improve our self, we can improve our existence. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening.